Rise and Grind Podcast, episode 11. And today we have the number one requested guest of all time. And I know that's not a huge metric by any means, but by far, my guest today has been requested the most. And I'm very blessed and grateful to have on my good friend, Sean Longmore, on the podcast today. And Sean has his mitts in a ton of things. Not only is he a full-time teacher at Eagle Butte High School, teaching the business academy there, and he's recently been in charge of helping in the flight academy as well. But he also owns Labels for Men clothing store, Medicine Hat, and also everyone knows the brand. I'm even wearing one of their shirts today, Boys on Third, and also Parlay. So he has a lot of things going on, a lot of businesses, a lot of ideas, and he is an absolute grinder. I really appreciated our chat today. We got into a lot of topics, not only how the purchase of Labels came to be, but the Boys on Third brand, how that came up, how Parlay came up, and what he's doing to nurture the Boys on Third brand to continue to grow, and all the things that come with owning a business, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's interesting, my favorite part of the conversation wasn't that, which I thought it was going to be, but as these conversations go, I never really know where they're going to end up. But I really appreciated talking to him about all the things that he's doing out at Eagle Butte, and his business program. It's an elective class that kids can take. It's just really cool. It's unique. It's different. It's cutting edge. And make sure you listen to the last 15 minutes of this, because we get into all the things that he's doing there. And I think education is in a good place. I always think it's gonna, always be underfunded. But at the end of the day, like having programs like that, having the eye on the ball where it is moving towards more life skills. I love what they're doing out there. And I can't stress that enough. And we get into talking about how he can tell that the kids are excited to be there. They're excited to engage. They're excited to learn. And gosh, that's the secret sauce right there, not only in education, but if you can wake up every day and be excited to go do what it is that you've set out to do that day, I think that's where, gosh, if you can do that, you're 90% going to be happy. There's obviously other things involved, but if you can wake up, be excited for your daily activities, be excited to go to work, it's a lot easier to be joyful, and it's a lot easier to attract good things into your life. And if there's anything I can leave you with, and if there's anything that you can pick up from this podcast, you can hear that Sean loves what he does. He loves building businesses. He loves being in the weeds of things. He loves figuring out problems. He loves serving people. And I hope that you love what you do in your day-to-day. And if not, I hope you change it. I really do. One of the beautiful things about being a human is that we have choice. Because trust me, I've been in places where I wasn't excited. I wasn't inspired to wake up and go do what I was set forth to do that day. And it's crazy. You have all this fear and worry about, quitting or giving up. And then when you do quit or give up, you're like, oh gosh, why didn't I do that earlier? So by no means is this a pitch for you to blow up your life. But I do think if you're not excited, if you're not inspired, if you're not motivated to wake up and go do what is put in front of you for that specific day, and that goes on for a prolonged period of time, just change. Just literally do it, rip the Band-Aid, change, and you'll be better off because of it. So anyways, without further ado, my good friend Sean Longmore. Hope you enjoy. Hope you learn something. Rise and grind. All right, we are here with the number one requested guest of all time, Mr. Sean Longmore. Thanks for your time, man. I know it's Easter holidays for you if you do consider it time off. How are you, man? Bring me up to speed with how 2025 has treated you so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool. I've never really done anything like this, so kind of exciting. 2025 has been a whirlwind. New job, lots going on at the shop, moving Boys on Third, and just kind of enjoying life. So we're at that stage where, things are kind of moving for us. We're doing new things. We're traveling. We're doing all sorts of stuff. So yeah, things are good.
Nice. Well, bring the listener, because I know you have your hands in a lot of different spots, Sean. You have full-time teacher at Eagle Butte.
Yep.
You're running an academy there. We can get into that. Obviously, you have the Boys on Third brand. You have Labels. Like, can you just kind of give a high-level overview of the things that you're involved in, just so the listener can kind of be brought up to speed for the stuff that we're going to talk about in the next probably hour or so?
Sure. Yeah, it kind of jumps around. It's hard to kind of touch on everything without giving a little bit of backstory. But
Sure.
so Labels would be our menswear store downtown. We took over that in 2014. And during that time, we also kind of through the progress of it, wanted to create our own in-house brand, which was obviously Boys on Third. Um, that started, within a year, it had kind of taken off, and then it's really exploded kind of over the last, I'd say,
Yeah.
5 or 6 years, and we've just been running what we can with it. So 2 years ago, we then started our shoe store called Parlay Shoe Trading Company, which was just around the corner from Labels. Parlay unfortunately didn't quite work out just because of the construction that came downtown. It
Mm-hmm.
really just didn't kind of have the chance to get our feet under us. And yeah, the construction smoked us. So we ended up bringing Parlay back into Labels. So now we kind of have Labels as like
Nice.
our main stop, and then we would run the other two brands out of there. And then yeah, jumped out to Eagle Butte last year. So I've been there just over a year. And I've done all sorts of stuff out there. I'm running a little business program that's like a print and press shop. And then in January, they bumped me into the flight academy. So yeah, it's
Holy smokes.
been a bit of a whirlwind. So
Well, I want to talk about, labels. So you it was already a business in town when you guys took over. It's not like you started
no,
labels, is that right?
no. It's actually kind of a wild story because the people that we grew up beside, like our neighbors, their parents actually originally owned the store.
Cool.
And there was also a Labels for Women as well. So it was
Hmm.
brother sister shop right off the get go. But I can remember being in that store, like playing mini sticks upstairs and like hanging out when I was super little. So for us to kind of find our way in there through high school was like really, really something unique and fun.
Mm.
And then, the way it ended up now is like, it's even crazier that, we've taken over and built our own brand and done all these things. So
That's
yeah.
that's so cool. So, and labels, obviously you have other brands other than Parlay and Boys on Third in there. How are you combating, having a downtown business like that? That'd be a challenge there for sure. But then secondly, where my mind goes to is like the ease and convenience of ordering online. How are you mitigating that, knowing that there's still a need for people to come in person, to see value in what you guys have to offer in terms of service and in terms of getting like the best quality product?
Sure. We've kind of been on the both sides of that because I think Boys on Third actually took off through our online store. That was really what kind of
Mm-hmm.
made things happen for us. But on the other side of that, like trying to compete with those online markets, I don't think that how do you put it? I had this conversation with somebody the other day at the store, and it was more built around the experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, you can find whatever you need to online, but it could show up. It's the wrong size. It doesn't fit. It's not the right color. Whatever, right? So I think what we have is it really holds on to the experience of showing up and shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Like we fit a wedding the other day, and those guys came in, and we had a couple drinks. We got them all fitted, and we were just hanging out. We gave them the playlist. They were pumping music. So I
Nice.
feel like that whole piece of just coming together, or people coming down to have coffee and just chit chat, right? Like it's really just a matter of providing an experience for people rather than just shopping.
I think that's bingo right there, is creating an experience,
Yeah.
because the type of clothing that you guys are selling too, it's like I would say, like, of your clientele, are they coming directly to you to get fit for an event? Are they casually shopping? Like, is there a mix of everything, or
Yeah.
what would you say you cater towards
Oh,
mostly?
we get a mix of all of it. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny because when we've started to see over the years, we get that young shopper. They typically come in for a grad suit, right? And
Oh, gotcha.
they're probably the ones shopping online or wherever else, but they come in as a grad shopper. We get them all suited up, and they're just like, "Whoa, this is a really unique experience." It's funny to watch, to put a jacket on a kid, and they don't even necessarily know how to put it on, right? They're reaching over and tugging off. You got to like show them the whole rope, so it becomes this like new thing for them, right? And it's really turned those people into routine customers, right? So
Mm.
Mark and I were actually just talking. We had an Easter sale this weekend where we stayed open the Friday and the Saturday. And it was actually because a lot of those kids that come to us for grad, they leave for university and then they all come back, and it turns into, they want to come down. It's something to do. And yeah, it's just building that returning customer.
Man, I think there's a lot there, especially because like when there's an experience tied to a purchase, price becomes less of an objection. Obviously, price to some extent,
Yeah,
but it's not always a race to the bottom. And I think, as I'm sure you've seen over your years of owning businesses, like, gosh, the cheap business model is just a race to the bottom, and it's a tough one, right? So you need some other value proposition to be
sure.
tied to that, because in my opinion, that's the only way to survive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, with those, are you nurturing? This is kind of getting into the weeds of the business, but while we're here, like for repeat customers, are you nurturing them anyways, or is it just like, hey, the experience is so strong, you have that personal connection that you know that they're going to come back? Is there anything that you guys maybe automate or you purposely do to maybe bring in more returning customers?
Yeah, we've really started to use we made a switch, I think it was 2 years ago, to Lightspeed. And we've really started to use our data
Yep.
to kind of look at things and, how we can bring back customers or get that returning customer, whatever it is. So one of the things that we put into play is that we actually have a loyalty program, and we haven't really advertised it or anything like that, which I don't know. It always kind of becomes a word of mouth thing for us. That's really what it is. So yeah, we have a loyalty program where the money you spent, you get a certain percentage back towards your next purchase, right? So
Cool.
if you came in and got a grad suit, or any suit, that just gets tacked into your account, and then that money sits in there. And we haven't quite sorted it out yet, but I think you need to put an expiry on that, because
Yeah.
you can
Right.
rack up some pretty good coin.
Yeah.
So
There you go. Cool. Talk to me about, because I know there was labels for men, labels for women. Did you
yeah.
did you get both of the? Were they different stores or were they just different spaces? Walk me through that, and then what do you currently have going on with that?
So the original owner, he actually owned the entire building, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And like if you walked in there now, they look like two separate shops. But originally there was a walkway between both of them. So the women's side was owned. Um, I can't even remember. I think they were owned separately, but the women's side actually owned the entire building, right? But yeah, brother and sister wrap
Gotcha.
shops. It was like very similar brands. They did all their marketing together, the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. So when you guys took over, then did you kind of have an idea in your mind of where you wanted to take not only the brand but the store, or was it just, hey, let's take this over, let's see how things go, and just kind of go from there? Like, did you have much vision at the start, or did that just kind of roll out?
I would say it like kind of naturally came together. I actually didn't take over the store originally with my brothers. So Joel and Mark
Okay.
originally took it over. I was away at university and wanted to kind of finish up. I had a couple years left, but when they took over, I was actually working at one of the other print shops downtown.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how Boys on Third started, because we ran into this issue of like we thought we could really grow it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we stepped into a company that was, older clientele, and
Mm-hmm.
if you know Marco, he doesn't quite fit the clientele of, an older gentleman coming in to get fitted for a suit, right? So we knew we had to kind of build off who we were and what we knew. And so we wanted to like build that brand, like that in-house brand, and we came up with a name and we started printing a few t-shirts, and it just kind of took off from there. So it's really kind of naturally, I would say, done its
Mm-hmm.
thing. Obviously with a ton of support from the community, but that was kind of the only one that I would say we like planned outside of anything else,
Sure.
if that makes sense.
It's interesting that you guys, sounds like anyways, you identified like, hey, like you you as a person doesn't really align with the current clientele, and there's
Oh,
obviously friction there, right? Like that's pretty smart of you guys to identify early on, because gosh, the last thing you want to do is like, take over a business and then lose a bunch of revenue.
yeah,
But it sounds like you kind of had to bite that bullet in order to get to where not only you wanted to be, but where you guys ultimately, in my opinion, aligned with your
yeah,
demographic and with your clients, right?
yeah. Like to think that, and you can't even blame people to think that, somebody who's been in their career for 20, 25 years, comes in to get fitted for a suit, and you've got, an 18-year-old telling them what they should be wearing, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
quite line up. So we knew we had to kind of spin things around and make it work more in our favor.
Nice, nice. So with Boys on Third, I know I know a lot of it you pride yourselves on, like the quality
Yeah,
of the product, the quality of the shirts. I mean, I'm wearing one right now. I bought this
sure.
like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's just as good as when it was
Yeah,
new. How did you go about sourcing that? Can you walk me through that world? That, as far as I know, I just come to you, buy a shirt and walk out, or buy a hoodie
sure.
and walk out. But I know there's a whole story behind that. Can you walk me through kind of how that product gets to the shelf?
Yeah, dude, that one, like, that took a long time. And it's funny because a lot of people ask me, or want to start their own brand, and it's not as easy as it looks, right? Like, you can type in blank t-shirts and you can find lots, right? And they're $3 or $4 a piece, but um, to get something that actually will hold up, you can be proud of, and you know, say it's all made in Canada, like that to me is something that's valuable. Um, yeah, that was a long journey, and I've learned a lot from it. I had actually talked to one guy. He asked me the same question, and at that point in my life, I was like very proud of what I had accomplished, and so I told him how we sourced them.
Mm.
In like a couple of weeks, I saw them on.
No way.
Yeah, so it yeah, it's a tough one, but
Yeah.
it
Well, I think the point that I want to get to is like you're going quality over just being cheap
sure.
and profitable,
Yeah,
right? And that's super important, and I think that's where you get those repeat and referral and the good local brand, because it is good quality product that way. Do you guys strategize like, hey, we're gonna launch a new product like 4 times a year? I know a couple of years ago, this might have been through COVID, but you launched like this off pink hoodie,
yeah,
and it was crazy how quick those went. Like I
yeah.
I had to get one for my wife,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you guys strategically do that, or walk me through that
No,
process?
we do. I'd say like lots has changed. I'd say in the last couple of years with like how the store
Sure.
functioned. Um, Construction was extremely tough, and so a lot of that stuff has kind of been put on the back burner, which is really unfortunate because
Yeah.
it was like we were really passionate about that stuff, but just the way things have kind of panned out, we're really having to look at where we're putting our time, and I don't know, we're like it was a tough year to say the least, being downtown
Mm-hmm.
with all that construction.
Because the whole street was ripped up all year, right?
Yeah, it was crazy, man, and like it yeah, God, I don't even want to I don't even want to talk about it. It was
Yeah.
like it was extremely stressful, and to think that that was just a couple after years of like COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we did
Yeah.
that whole gong show and made
Yeah.
that. And I'd say we were lots of downtown business. We were just starting to kind of crawl out of the hole. And then it was just like, boom, construction. And I think there's been 2 or 3 that have already shut the doors, and
Mm-hmm.
we're heading back into the second part of it here again. So we'll see how it all goes. But
Crazy.
sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer, I guess, to get back to the strategy of like exclusive drops. Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
that was what we did. And it worked really well, especially at the start, just because it was so new. It's kind of funny because when we were actually developing the brand, it maybe wasn't as prioritized as it should have been. And so lots of times we would get into battles between the three of us of like, why isn't this done or why isn't that done? And hoodies took a month to get. And after I probably like the second year, I realized, oh man, maybe they aren't actually that tough to get. Like I just ordered some and it took like they were here within a week, and I was like, well, what's going on? But I feel like those little mistakes at the start kind of actually like built in and helped
Interesting.
us like, yeah, provide that like exclusivity for people, right?
Mm.
And it really drove our demand. So when we recognized that and then started to release products, like we would buy, I think the first, like the pink one that you're thinking of is our Dusty Rose. I think we bought 30 of them, and they would have been sold within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah. And just like
Crazy.
we just continue to do that, different like limited brands, or like one year we did a denim vest, which was super cool. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So how do you I want to get into your specific lifestyle a little bit, Sean, because
sure.
I know even through COVID or through, the last year, like that doesn't come with all, the owning of business just all sunshine and rainbows. Like it's stressful. Like, and I certainly feel it. Like real estate is very much a cyclical business throughout a calendar year, and like I feel it. I'm like, holy shit, it's slow. Like, is it ever going to come back? Like every year it seems like it's like it's always in the back of my mind. Like, how do you deal with that? Or are you good with it all? Like, how do you go about kind of making sure that you're staying mentally clear and healthy?
Well, I feel like that's really tough to answer because like even the second you asked me, I instantly just went to, well, this isn't me. This is like, this is Marco. Marco puts in a ton of work at the shop, right? Like me being a teacher, it's impossible for me to be there during the day. So like, yeah, absolute huge shout out to Marco. Like he makes the wheels turn. If you want to talk like labels and clothes, he's
Yeah.
your guy, right? He knows the ins and outs. Like I'm the guy who, something goes south, something breaks, he calls me and I go down there and I fix it. Or, hey, we need this racking put up. Design aspect stuff for boys on third, absolutely I'm there. But
Sure.
from like the day to day, Marco puts all the pieces together. And I've seen how hard it can be on him. Him and I just started going back to the gym together in the morning. So that's been really
Nice.
cool. I guess to like sum it all up, it's definitely a grind.
Yeah.
I find like just setting time aside for myself, doing the things that I like to do and time for those things. But I don't know, man, like I also love it. Like I actually
Yeah.
just love it. Like, Mark called me the other day, he was sick. He's like, I need you to jump down to the store and, do a wedding. So I linked up with one of our other guys. We buzzed down there, hammered suits and like, dude,
Nice.
literally like high fiving at the end. Like it was awesome. So I don't know. I kind of like thrive in the chaos of it all.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Do you think it's just the active service that you're getting to help people through a value piece that you also like, i.e. clothing design, and you're helping
Sure.
people in the meantime? Do you think that's kind of the root value piece for you?
I honestly, for me, I think I'm just a people person,
Yeah.
right? Like, no, same reason why I became a teacher, right? Like, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's making connections with people. That being said, it's pretty cool to like put a piece together for somebody who maybe isn't loving or love shopping, and watch their confidence change, right? Like lots of kids, when you put them in a suit for the first time and they come out, like I said, they don't even know how to put it on. And they come out and they look in the mirror and it's like, it's cool to see. Right. And I think that, you can take a lot out of what you wear. Like it can give you a lot of pride and a lot of confidence. And I really like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Cool, man. No, that's good, because I think it's important for people to hear, like, you don't have to always just love the product. Like, example, like I would never say that I know the most about houses and I love houses the most. Like,
Sure.
I love real estate because I get to help people through a journey of what could be a very stressful road of buying or
Yep.
selling. And I like being the facilitator of that, and that's very appealing to me. I get self-gratification in that. And I think that's important for people to hear on your end too,
Yep.
right? Now I know that Labels and Boys on Third, you guys do a lot of community involvement. Like I was just on your social here, just preparing a little bit for the podcast. You guys are doing something with the Tigers right now, like Player of the Month or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you walk through that and maybe some other community stuff that you guys are thinking of doing or are currently doing?
Yeah. I'm trying to think when that actually started. So, Joey Frazier is actually a good friend of mine. And I think we were out for dinner one night and we were just chatting, like, we could do something together. The Tigers have always shopped at our store. But we wanted it to be something bigger than that. So yeah, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Yeah, chatted with Joe and he actually came up with the idea, and then Marco kind of bid on it too. And we thought it would be cool to, hand out a suit. Like those guys they're always getting dressed up.
Yeah.
Seems like the sports guys love their fashion clothes and their shoes. So it was kind of a natural little partnership that just kind of worked. So yeah.
And you guys are giving a full suit out
Yeah.
to one player every month.
Yeah, we'll do
Is
it
that right?
once. And it's an on ice presentation, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
I think the first one we actually did was when Bedard came to town. So it was a full house in there, and all I can remember was "Don't slip and fall, slip and fall." But yeah, it's worked out really good. Those boys travel in packs, so you give out one suit and you get 10 coming down, and it's hang out. Everybody does some shopping, so yeah, it's been really good.
That's cool, man. That's a sweet idea. Now, talk to me about Parlay shoes there. When did that kind of come into the fold? Was that always kind of, on the table and it was something that you guys executed on finally, or can you walk me through that?
Oh, there's like so many. Parlay makes me smile, but it also makes me so sad. It was one of those things where we had a couple friends that were like highly invested in shoes. They loved like buying and reselling. And at the time, one of them he was working for us. And so he wanted to like put on a shoe night. We were like, absolutely, we love this.
Hmm.
And so he rounded up a handful of guys, a couple friends, a couple guys came down from Saskatoon, and we just opened the store, but we had all their shoes set up. And dude, it blew my mind how many people came through those doors.
It's a pretty
So
big market, isn't
it
it?
is,
Like for collecting and buying and selling, right?
yeah. And like lots of young kids, right? So,
Mm.
Mark and I were like, wow, I don't know, maybe there's a niche spot for this. So we always kind of like joked and, said we would maybe come up with a plan, and it never really came together until it like slapped us right in the face. Right. So we, I can't even remember. We were at this weird stage of like, labels is full. If we want to do something else, it's probably gonna have to go somewhere else. Are we looking at different buildings? Do we move? Do we
Hmm.
stay? Like we weren't really sure, right? And then the little space came up for rent. I don't even know how long ago. Anyway, it came up for rent. I was actually flipping through Facebook that morning with Megan be a physio, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
it'd be a cool little spot to have something like that. And then peeked through the rest, probably looked at a few trucks, whatever. And then not even an hour later, Marco called me and he's like, hey, what are you doing? You need to come down and see the space downtown. And I was like, does it have like 100 million lights in it with the whitewashed floors? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll come down and check it out. And I remember we both walked in, we looked at each other and we were like, this is it. This is the shoe store. And
You got to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And so we sat down, Marco, Darren, and I, and we just said like, okay, like, can we do this? What's the plan? And we went from start to finish in, I want to say like 3 months.
Wow.
Didn't have any shoe brands, didn't have any racking, like no branding, nothing. And we hammered it all together in 3 months. And
Wow.
I, I'm obviously a little biased, but I feel like if we would have had the full summer without any construction, it
Hmm.
it would still be rocking and rolling, no doubt.
Wow. So when you go and you sit down and you're like, okay, this is the space. Where do you even start with that? Do you start with the product, or like how do you build out a condensed business plan? Or is it just, hey, let's get together,
Dude,
have some beers, and
I
figure it out?
don't know if I could call it like a business plan. We literally
Yeah.
like we went back to the store after that, and Mark was like, well, how do we, like, obviously it's a small space. We needed to like be super efficient with it.
Hmm.
And we were just kind of throwing some ideas around, and then it just kind of clicked for me. I ran up to the front, I grabbed like a piece of receipt paper and I like drew it all out and I brought it back and I literally threw it across the table, and Mark was like, yeah, this is perfect. So I started building racks like the next week and like did a full
Wow.
lighting system, everything. We had a cabinet that we could like pre-use for our little till, but yeah,
So
it all just kind of came together, man.
it's really cool because what I like seeing in town is local businesses like that where there are exactly one of them. Like there's not a bunch of shoe stores like Parlay. Like there's one of them,
Sure.
right? There's
Yeah.
and it's sad to see that you guys had to move. But walk me through kind of how you brought it in house into labels, and how has that been going? Have you been getting a different demographic through the door because of it?
Yes and no. Like we definitely will pull a younger crowd. Like some of those, like we're talking down to, like 10 and 11 year olds, right?
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess we're starting those shoppers even earlier as opposed to just coming in for a grad suit. But, yeah, like we went back and forth on it of like, should we have shoes in the clothing store? At that point, we just didn't have room. But now it's one of those things that, you can build an outfit and now you can have the shoes to go
Hmm.
with it, right? And it's all in under one spot, but we're really cramped with space for storage. That's our biggest challenge, right?
Mm. Yeah. Gotcha.
So yeah, coming into like wedding season, we have a full room or two full rooms of suits that have been ordered and all sorts of stuff, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's tough because you have to have the inventory. You want to be able to get what the people need, and
for
you
sure.
need a ton of different
Yeah,
sizes, right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Shoes
Gosh.
shoes are a tough one. I actually remember talking to Marco, like I think we were maybe a month out from opening, and I said to him, Medicine Hat's had a couple shoe stores. Why do we think that we can do it any better, right? Like, but I don't know. We're always just kind of one of those. Well, we're the ones that are like, let's do it. And you know what? If it doesn't work, we can at least say we tried, right?
Yeah.
You never know. So
Yeah. I don't know if you feel the same way. I'd love to get your thoughts, but like your mind kind of defaults to like the worst case scenario, and it's so bad and everyone's going to die and you're going to go bankrupt, and the worst case never happens.
no,
Like it really doesn't. But there's a part of our brain that just defaults to that, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, right?
yeah, like I truthfully, like the experience that we've had with Boys on Third has given me so much. I don't know. I don't even know if confidence is the right word, but just like, you never know what can happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
to think that we printed, 10 t-shirts on a whim with a idea, like a random idea. And God, we've sent shirts all over the world. Like, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, the shoe store came up and I was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we try to do this? Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's like you don't want to cast judgment on something that you're not sure if it's true or not, right?
no,
Like,
yeah.
so.
Like, if we can do t-shirts, why can't we do shirts, or sorry, shoes? Right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It obviously didn't pan out quite the way we wanted it to, but I'm still confident that it's still going to make a run. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Love that.
yeah.
Now let's shift gears. You texted me a month ago or so saying that you're in charge of the flight academy,
Well,
or
I would
or,
say
or you're
sorry,
involved
but yeah, definitely involved. Um,
up there flying with the gods. What is that? What does that even look like? I know you're out at Eagle Butte. You kind of have the business program, which I was so blown away when I came into your class just to do a little presentation there of just the way the classroom's set up and kind of what you have going on there. Can you share your role at Eagle Butte and then what it's kind of turning into as this flight academy gets rolling?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, I joined Eagle Buttes just over a year ago, and they brought me in to teach a business program. And in my mind, like, some of the biggest things that kids are missing is like the communication piece, the critical thinking, problem solving, and that stuff is really tough to teach with, I guess you could say, like, your core curriculum, right? So
Sure.
within an option class, there's quite a few different things that you can do. And so we set up our business class on the premise of a printing and press shop. So
Cool.
ETF printing, vinyl printing. We actually have embroidery machines. And so it's set up to run as a self-sustaining business. And we have a full-time graphic designer. We typically would run about 15 to 27 kids at a time. The previous semester, I had 2 groups. This last semester, I have 1. And then next year, I'm thinking I'll probably have 3.
Wow.
And so essentially they come in, they can be any grade. So they can be 10, 11, 12, but they'll always start as I call it an employee. And then they work their way up. So you would start as a 10, you'd be an employee. If you came back as an 11, you would then be like a manager.
Sure.
And as a 30 level student, which is hard to get in option classes, but just because of, by grade 12, they're in their grad year and, they're like nailing down their classes, streaming for certain things. So you don't always get the 30s, but they would actually become like a part of the team. Right. So, yeah, it's been an unreal experience joining Prairie Rose and getting the opportunity to do that. I think it holds just a ton of value because it gives kids that real world experience. And there's just no other way to get it. So a perfect example of that would be last semester, I think we had 5 or 6 jobs that we were working on to get out the door for Christmas, and Canada Post shut down. Right. So
Wow.
I'm teaching academically, like we've got some stuff that we do. But on the other side of that, I'm running this business. Well, our whole business is shipping and receiving and orders. Right. So I pitched to the kids, this is our problem. We've got all these orders that we need to fill. Canada Post is down. We've already ordered our prints. What are we going to do? And so the 2 groups both came up with their solution. And they said that,
That's so cool.
yeah, they said that wanted to keep our
Okay.
customers happy. And so they said that we should just eat the cost. We'll order them again and we'll ship them through UPS. And we're not going to make any money on these pre-orders, but we want to keep that relationship with them because we know that they're going to come back if we can get them their stuff on time. And so both groups said, first group said we'd give them 2 days, see if the strike ended, and the other group said 3 days. And it was kind of funny. The way it worked out was I actually got a call from our supplier. He called me with the exact same solution that both groups came up with.
No way.
He actually ate the cost and reshipped them for us for free. So
wow.
Just because he wanted to keep that business with us, right?
So, and just so the listener knows, like, you guys are literally making products and shipping. Like, this is real,
yeah.
Right? Like, you're making products right there, because that does not look like a classroom that I was in. Like, It's a full on. It is like an assembly. Like, it looks like a shop. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. We do lots like for the school, but yeah. We've done numerous engraving jobs for different companies in the city. We've done clothing for companies in the city. We've done jerseys for sports teams, some embroidery jobs, signs, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, kids get their hands on a lot of different things. And even just having presenters like you to come in there and share your experiences with them is such an eye opener for them. So, to see all these different things that are available. And it's kind of interesting because I've had 17 different presenters come through those doors, and I think only one of them has actually gone to school and has a business education. Right?
Interesting. Hey?
Like, I got an idea and I am going to hammer this and I'm going to make it work. So, and I just love that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I think it's an experience that kids can have that. I know for sure when I was going through high school at Eagle Butte, like, that wasn't available to us. It was like foods and shop class, right? So I think that's really cool the way education is shifting that way. What do you see from kids of that age? Like, what's the biggest, I guess, curiosity with business that they have? Is it just something that, they're taking a class and they end up enjoying it because of the experience that you take them through? Or are they genuinely curious, like, hey, like, this could be an option for a job or a career?
Yeah, I kind of sell it on both of them. I sell it both ways, right? Like, if business is your thing, like, you can connect with all these different people, you can network with these people. I actually had a student, we had a restaurant in town come in, and she ran a goat farm. And so she ended up selling him a goat that he could add to lamb. Yeah, lamb to his menu, right? And it was supported, like, locally, right? So stuff like that is super cool. On the other side of that, you don't necessarily have to have any, like, business experience or background, or maybe not even wanting to go into business. Like, those skills that we talk about, that we kind of like focus everything around, would apply to anything, right? Whether it's a trades job, whether it's a lawyer, like, whatever it is. Just getting the chance to learn how to communicate, to work as a team, like, those are all the things that I try to build it around. And to me, that's an easy sell for kids because it's hard stuff to do. Yeah,
absolutely. It's funny. It reminds me of, like, when I was in university, I took communications just literally because I fell into it, because I told my academic advisor, like, give me the easiest degree that's in the mornings.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, take communications. And I'm so grateful for that now, because it was all about working in groups, presenting in front of your peers, building presentations, and, like, writing papers. And now that's, like, I lean on those skills all the time now. And I'd imagine, like, your business program is very similar. Like, I'm sure those kids get nervous when they have to present. I'm sure they get nervous when they have a deadline to meet, especially if they're dealing with real customers. So it's very tough to recreate those nerves, and I think that's very important to get exposed to. I really do.
We actually run so every month we'll do, like, a newsletter poster. So kids have the opportunity to, like, design, and it can be sent out with the school. But we actually have them stand up, present it, and then it gets critiqued by their peers.
Wow.
It sounds really scary, but, like, we scaffold it, we build them up. And there's lots of little things that you can do. Like, I'm not just throwing them up there, like, feed them to the wolves kind of thing. But, starting our day with, maybe just switching chairs and working with a different group. And, like, we start with the New York Times connections every day, right? Like, a new problem, we're going to find a new solution, and we're working with different people. So, like, those little experiences really help bridge that gap to be able to push them up there and be like, hey, pitch this to us. Right? The other really cool project I have is SneakerCon, which is like it's a 10-week program where kids get to take a loan from myself, who is the bank. They pay interest on that loan all the way through, but they buy, sell, and reinvest within different brands. And so each week we get projections that have been manufactured that would potentially allow you to look at how markets might change or what would affect them. And so they get to make the decision what they want to invest in, but they can buy, sell, and trade everything within each other. So it's always really interesting to see how kids, kind of find their way through that. So, yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. There's a lot of different directions you're taking that, and I think they're all very useful, right?
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what is this flight academy? What's your role there?
Oh, dude, the Flight Academy is so cool. It's so cool. So I was brought in. They had a group where there just wasn't enough support, and so it was maybe a little understaffed. Which, a new program, you're constantly trying to find what works and what doesn't work, and so they felt that there was a spot there, and they thought that I could be the guy to fill that spot. And so essentially, I kind of act as like a mediator between Eagle Butte, Super T Aviation, and the Flight Academy, and then parents, right? So obviously, I don't have any flight experience right now. So any like academics that they do, it's all done through an instructor from Super T, who is a like fully certified pilot. And so they would do all the training there. And then we have a couple classes at our new building, which are taught by a co-instructor through SATE.
Cool.
And he teaches the aircraft machine and engineering class. So
Gotcha.
Kids get to learn about hydraulics, all sorts of stuff, like different fuels that they use for planes, different types of wings, everything. And then we actually have a build day. So the first day I showed up in flight, I literally built an airplane with my kids. And that,
wow,
to say it out loud is so crazy. We got in there and we literally put together a wing that day, and it just like blew my mind to see kids like riveting on sheet metal, and we were like putting it all together. It was super cool. So I'm absolutely loving it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now you've been a teacher, got to be close to 10 years.
Yeah,
no?
my 9th year. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How's education changed in those 9 years? Like from an outsider, and I, obviously Sarah's a teacher.
Sure.
Like I really like the way things are shifting with academies. Seems like there's other ideas or different ideas getting actually initiated on. And I, as an outsider, not knowing much about it, like since having Mav, I've definitely got more interested in it. Just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
From being a teacher through those 9 years, do you feel the same, or is there still a lot more work to do in that realm?
There'll always be work to do.
Yeah.
Teachers work super hard. They're like,
God, so hard.
Interesting, because I would say my viewpoints changed a little bit, but in a different way, in the sense of like coming from an elementary school to working in a high school are very, very different. And I'm glad I have that elementary experience, just because I think it's actually allowed me to be a way better high school teacher. Education itself, obviously it's changed a lot. There's lots of, you'll never have enough support. I don't think. There's just lots of challenges, but I think having different types of programming, like the academies, the trades program, all those different things really gets kids excited about learning, right? And if you can get kids excited, man, you can get them to do anything. So I think obviously there's going to be new things down the road, but I'm excited to see where it can go. Like I never thought that we would be having kids in airplanes.
Right.
Like I'll show up at the school and, there's kids that have already done a 2-hour flight somewhere. Right.
That's crazy.
Super cool. So
I think you're right though. And it surpasses even being in high school. Like, gosh, if anyone can wake up and be excited about what they're doing in the day, like your chances of success and happiness go through the roof. Right. And I'd imagine it's the same going through school. I know it was for me. There's a lot of times I didn't want to go to school. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, those like the hands-on learning experiences, like you can't compare it to anything else. Like there's, I'm sure there's kids that can sit and take notes and do those types of things, but I don't know, when you can put a rivet gun in a kid's hand and by the end of 2 years he could be flying an airplane, like how do you not get excited about that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Well, Sean, just to wrap this up, whether it be labels, boys on third, kind of your role as a teacher, what does the next year look like, man? Is there anything on the horizon that you have in the back of your mind?
Well, I would say like we're for the stores, we're like we got through the construction and we're really gonna just kind of dig in,
Yeah.
see what we can do. Um, School wise, I'm hoping to be getting my pilot license here, so I'm gonna maybe start that this summer and see how it all goes. I haven't been in one of those little Cessnas yet, but we'll see how it all comes out. We'll see. Um, no, dude, I'm Meg and I are just super happy. We're like we love our lives. We both have really good jobs. We like work. We're just enjoying it.
Well, both of you, man, you and Megan, like, to get to where you feel like you are now, like that does take a lot of work, takes a lot of sacrifice, and I just want to acknowledge you for that because I know there's a lot of ups and downs, and the downs are really down sometimes, and to get to where you've been sustaining multiple businesses and having a full-time job, being a teacher in itself, man. That's wild. Like when people say, "Oh, teachers get a month, 2 months off," I'm like, "Yeah, you would need it too."
Yeah.
Right? Like if you want it so bad, go to school, become a teacher, and then see how you do. Right?
Sure.
So.
Well, I got to give credit to Marco, even Darren. They put in a ton of time too. I don't know, man. It's one of those things where like it sounds cliche, but if you like love what you do, you don't mind doing it.
Sure.
So yeah, I've learned to thrive in the chaos. I know that that's how I function, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. Yeah.
Love that. Well, thanks for your time, Sean, and keep rocking it, man. And I appreciate your friendship, appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Okay. All right, we'll see you.